evening. This is the news from NTA's Top Table. As usual, our bulletin is 90 minutes of news, views, reviews, previews, and interviews, focusing on key issues affecting Nigerians in every strata of society. We also have a third eye on unfolding events, looking at new perspectives and backstories. Tonight, President Tinubu wants agents of disunity and elements threatening national security.
Those that might thought they can threaten the sovereignty of this country will have themselves to blame. They have a price to pay. And we are not going to relent.
Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, barricade residents of former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello. Okwama crisis, Governor Diri appeals to communities in dire straits, commends the army. And on the political scene, governors on the platform of the People's Democratic Party meet ahead of key NEC meeting. We have these and our regular packages on the environment, agriculture, humanitarian activities, youth empowerment, and sports. On the business bit, Benny Adams is standing by with the breakdown of trade mills. It's a full package. But like I say, don't take my word for it. After all, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Yen Ray John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Coming from the presidency is stern warning that those who plan to threaten the sovereignty as well as unity of Nigeria will have themselves to blame. President Bola Tinubu was that assertive when he received leaders of Afenifere, a pan-Yoruba group, in the State House. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
President Bola Tinubu is now on record as the first member of Afenifere to lead Nigeria, and the Yoruba socio-political group continues to relish this feat as the members were led to the presidential villa by Pa Reuben Fashoroti. It's a return visit from where they left off in Akure a few weeks ago. The group expressed satisfaction with what they regard as the giant strides of the administration, including infrastructural projects like the rehabilitation of the Third Mainland Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, among others. But they equally request the President's attention to other major federal roads, including the Ibadan-Ife-Ondo and Benin-Owena-Lagos roads.
Almost all these roads need urgent and comprehensive federal attention. Many of these roads require not just repairs, but rehabilitation. One major project that will benefit not just the Southwest, but the entire country is a rail link between Lagos and Abuja. This will be a great legacy for Your Excellency.
Thank you.
And then, the President has some cheering news for his guest as he says his administration has continued to record successes in the fight against insecurity, including terrorism, banditry and kidnapping, and will not relent until a total victory is achieved to protect the sovereignty and unity of the country.
The case of Kuriga and many other kidnapped children is evident in the way we rescue them from Sokoto to Katsina to Kaduna and others, now more expeditiously than ever before. We are working hard on intelligent gathering and execution of our programs. Those that might thought they can threaten the sovereignty of this country will have themselves to blame. They have a price to pay. And we are not going to relent in that area.
On social security, the administration has prepared programs including the conditional cash transfer and grants, the student loan, which is about to take off, as well as the unemployment allowance. And now, the president says the next flagship program of his administration, coming to reduce the propensity for corruption amongst Nigerians, is the consumer credit.
We have taken action, and you will soon hear the funding of consumer credit. If you eliminate the cash requirement to get a house by itself, even if it's a shared house without furnishing, if you use consumer credit to control that, you will reduce the propensity for fraud and irregularities and corruption.
And the president leaves his visitors with a parting gift of hope that his administration remains focused on repositioning the economy of the country for the greater good of all Nigerians. From the State House, Musbah Nanwahab, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu commends the enterprising feat of Dangote Oil and Gas Limited in reducing the gantry price of automotive gas oil, AGO, also known as diesel. The president, in a statement, notes that the group recently reviewed downwards the gantry price of AGO from 1,650 naira to 1,000 naira per litre for a minimum of 1 million litres of the product, as well as provided a discount of 30 naira per litre for an offtake of 5 million litres and above. The price review represents a 60% drop, which will in no small measure impact the prices of sundry goods and services. The president affirms that Nigerians and domestic businesses are the nation's surest transport and security for that glorious destiny of economic prosperity, noting that the federal government's 20% stake in Dangote Refinery and why such partnerships between public and private entities are essential to advancing the overall well-being of the country. The president calls on Nigerians and businesses to, at this time, put the nation in priority gear while assuring them of a conducive, safe and secure environment to thrive. Now, the Tinubu administration remains committed to creating an enabling environment for both local and foreign investors to thrive. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this while playing host to a delegation from the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council, led by its CEO, Rosie Glazebrook, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jabrila reports.
Resources in digital technology, improving electricity supply, boosting production and manufacturing, among other initiatives of government, are key to the renewed hope agenda. Vice President Kashim Shettima said the federal government is determined to transform indigenous and foreign businesses to meet the global growth projections.
Be rest assured that Nigeria is ready for business. My boss, President Bola Tinubu, grew up in that ecosystem, and we are ready to create the enabling environment for businesses to prosper. And here in Nigeria, that's why the action is.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council pledged the group's support to the Nigerian government, especially the forthcoming event in both Nigeria and outside, including the Commonwealth Trade and Investment Forum in London in 2025 and the proposed Trade and Investment Forum to be held in Nigeria in the second half of 2025.
We also want to help showcase opportunities for investment into Nigeria and bring the best of the business community across the Commonwealth.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria that the executive arm of government will liaise with the National Assembly to consider the review of the Institute's Enabling Act of 1965 to ensure its current practices are in harmony with the global standards and international best practices.
A leadership with the foresight, with the vision, and most importantly with the political courage to take far-reaching decisions. And in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we have a leader that has those attributes, and a leader who understands the ecosystem under which you are operating is also one of your own. That was why he was able to take far-reaching decisions. We hit the ground running from day one with the withdrawal of the fuel subsidy.
The central bank has done very well exploring the use of monetary policies, but we also believe that the fiscal policy should come in. I think we should address issues of production now, and to that extent, power is an issue.
The delegation enumerated the Institute's contribution to the development of the nation's economic policies and national development through its research works and direct participation of its members in key government committees and offices, pledging more support at all times. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
In other news, synergy between the military, Nigeria police and other security forces led to the successful thwarting of threats posed by agitators in Oyo State, ensuring stability and peace in the region, says the Minister of Defense, who gave a hint about more swift and decisive action to safeguard national security. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani feeds us.
Emphasizing the importance of swift and decisive action in safeguarding national security, the minister said measures are being implemented to limit civilian access to military uniforms and weapons, a crucial step in preventing unauthorized individuals from posing as security personnel.
Recently, we are commissioning a company called Diconso that will be responsible for manufacturing our own uniforms in Nigeria. Both customs and other security agencies around the border area are tightening security to make sure that weapons, uniforms and other military equipments are not allowed in illegally.
This initiative aims to enhance the integrity and trustworthiness of the Nigerian armed forces while thwarting potential threats from within. As the minister says, it underscores President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's resolve to ensuring that government continues to uphold law and order across the nation. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, will on Tuesday, April 23, declare open the summit of faith leaders on nutrition in Nigeria. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President and Medium Communications Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nwokocha, the high-level dialogue with the theme, Faith Leaders as Catalyst for Enhanced Human Capital through Nutrition, aims to define sustainable pathways to improving maternal, infant and young child nutrition practices in Nigeria. The event, which will bring together the apex bodies of the Christian and Muslim faiths, as well as traditional institutions in the country, will also be used as a platform among faith and traditional leaders in Nigeria to secure commitments for sustained gains in nutrition investments. The House of Representatives has assured Nigerians that delay in pensions and gratuity will no longer be acceptable, considering the hardship being faced by retirees after service. At a public hearing with stakeholders on the plight of retirees under the Contributory Pension Scheme, House Committee on Pensions calls for the review of the Pension Act 2004 for effective service delivery. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the meeting came as a result of a motion moved on the floor of the House following a complaint by a retiree relating to payment from his pension fund administrator, PFA.
Nigerians, and we should take this as serious as possible, because we are not joking, we are not sitting down here to receive documents.
This is a mandate given by this committee by the 10th House of Representatives at plenary. We should do this investigation thoroughly and report back.
Responding to issues raised by members of the committee, chief executive officers of PFAs and representative of the DG, PENCOM, provided explanations and promised to address them.
Liabilities of government alone were in the region of about 2 trillion naira. Today, payouts alone from 2007 to date are in excess of 2.7 trillion naira, and we are fast approaching 3 trillion naira.
Pensioners have collectively contributed 9.94 trillion naira into their retirement savings accounts as at December 2023. However, the PFAs have effectively managed and expanded these funds, resulting in a remarkable growth to a staggering 18.36 trillion naira, nearly double of what has been contributed.
The committee mandated all PFAs and National Pension Commission to come with detailed relevant documents for scrutiny next sitting. And away from pension issues now, looking at the Democracy Day for this year, an inter-ministerial committee that will champion the 2024 Democracy Day anniversary has been inaugurated by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume. Kenneth Nanim brings us details.
Activities to commemorate Nigeria's Democracy Day on the 12th of June have already been lined up. They will begin with a world press briefing on Thursday, 6th of June 2024. A special Juma prayer will be held on Friday, the 7th of June, while the church service to mark the event will be on Sunday, 9th of June. Symposium and public lecture is scheduled for Monday, the 10th of June, while a presidential broadcast and parade by the armed forces will be on June 12th.
The present government deserves to showcase what they have achieved so far in the face of daunting problems.
The committee, to be headed by the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, is expected to be broken down to subcommittees for effective operation and a hitch-free ceremony.
The terms of reference are hereby given to plan, organize, and execute all approved activities befitting the Democracy Day celebration.
Monday, the 22nd of April, is given as deadline for the submission of the required budgets for further action. Meanwhile, inauguration of the committee to organize the one-year anniversary of the current administration is imminent. Both committees are expected to work in tandem to achieve their objectives. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying. In what could be described as an attempt to undermine the hierarchy and supremacy of the All Progressives Congress, APC, by some alleged impersonators of the NNPP in Ganduje ward of Kano State, culminating into the fraudulent suspension of its national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. Leaderships from across the party structures at state, local government and ward levels converged on the National Secretariat to affirm their unflinching support and solidarity to the Ganduje-led National Working Committee. Political correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
It has been days of uncertainties and silence at the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress APC since the purported expulsion of the national chairman from his Ganduje ward of Dawakin Tofa local government area of Kano State. Now is the time to break the silence as leaderships of the three layers of executives in the state stormed the National Secretariat of the party to refute what they termed as uncivilized and a setback to modern democracy.
They are here to tell us all that the information going around is not the true situation on the ground. If a political party, an opposing political party, can just gather people from motor park and claim that they are executive members of another political party, I think this new dimension, this new distraction should be checked by the security agencies. and even the judiciary.
In a swift reaction to the earlier circulated ex parte order issued by a court sitting in Kano and affirming the suspension of the national chairman of APC, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, from the party, the national legal advisor of APC, Professor Abdul Karim Abubakar Kana, says the court action was a gross violation of the directive of the National Judicial Council.
And we also had quite a number of incidences even involving the PDP, where the courts would make unnecessary, avoidable, and needless ex parte court orders. It is on the basis of that the NJC issued a warning to the judges and repeatedly also not to be granting such ex parte orders without granting opportunity to the other side to be heard.
The National Legal Advisor says APC's search for evidence is gradually yielding positive results against perpetrators behind the distracting phenomenon. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And still talking politics, governors on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have resolved that the National Executive Committee meeting scheduled for Thursday, April 18th in Abuja, will resolve all issues confronting the party. This was part of the resolutions of the PDP Governors Forum meeting held in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The meeting of the PDP Governors Forum is part of a series of scheduled meetings to set the tone for the 98th National Executive Committee meeting of the party.
I know the governors normally take the leadership position, but we have an acting person in acting capacity leading the party. And so NEC will decide whether it is time to take the acting, to fill in the vacancy, looking at the legal implication of doing that, knowing that there are so many lingering litigation issues in court.
The NEC meeting is believed by many to provide solutions to some of the challenges confronting the party at the leadership level, especially with the embattled former chairman of the party, Senator Yocha Ayu's withdrawal of appeal challenging his removal in court. Meanwhile, protesters had earlier converged on the premises of the national headquarters of the PDP in Abuja to in their support for the acting national chairman of the party, Umar Damagum, and the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike.
Wike has carried this party for a very long time, sponsoring the party, financing the party, all alone. So I think Wike has to be the leader of this party. That's what we are saying.
The protesters, who displayed placards with various inscriptions, pledged support for Wike and Damagum, alleged that some people within the PDP are trying to cause disaffection among the leadership. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in the early hours of today stormed the Abuja residence of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, located in Wuse Zone 4, Abuja, for a possible arrest into EFCC's custody. Olajide Bello has the update.
The ever-busy Wuse Zone 4, with its usual BDC activities, wore a different look as operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission dotted the landscape of Benghazi Street on both sides, leading to the house of former governor Yahaya Bello. These saw youths from Kogi State initially displaying some tendencies of resistance, but the security apparatus of the Kogi State Governor Usman Ododo was more than enough to put the tense situation to calm and order. One after the other, National Assembly members of both the red and green chambers representing Kogi constituencies equally arrived for a closed-door session.
Some moments ago, the incumbent governor, Usman Ododo, just left the residence of the governor. And as you can see just behind me here, the operatives of the EFCC are already on standby. From all indications, they are ready to move anytime soon.
The anti-graft agency in the 17-count amended charge alleged Yahaya Bello for money laundering, breach of trust, and misappropriation of funds to the tune of 84 billion naira. Diversion, which was committed months before he assumed office in 2015. In other charges, the alleged suspect concealed several millions of naira with one Rabi Musa Tafada, a bureau de change operator in Abuja. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Heading to the courtroom now, the days when abuse of the nation's legal tender through spraying of naira notes at events was acceptable are over. Another case to buttress this is the arraignment of businessman and socialite Pascal Okechukwu, popularly known as Cubana Chief Priest. Diana Ajale reports that the Federal High Court in Lagos State granted him 10 million naira bail with 2 sureties in like sum.
Cubana Chief Priest was arraigned before Justice Kehinde Ogudare on 3 counts bordering on abuse of naira and allegedly spraying and tampering with the nation's currency at a social event in Lagos. Contrary to the provisions of the Central Bank Act, when the charges were read to him, he pleaded not guilty. Earlier, the defense counsel, Chika Osulu Ojukwu, SAN, informed the court of a preliminary objection challenging the court's jurisdiction and bail application filed on behalf of the defendants. The prosecutor, Bilikisu Buhari, did not oppose the bail application. Ojukwu urged the court to grant his client bail on liberal terms as he is a first offender with no past criminal records. The senior advocate also informed the court of the defendant's health condition, which predisposes him to palpitation due to his weight. The court, however, granted him bail in the sum of 10 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum. Cubana Chief Priest was alleged to have sprayed the naira notes on February 13, 2024, while dancing at a social event. The EFCC had on the 5th of April secured the conviction of popular cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, also known as Bobrisky, on similar charges. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Elsewhere, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, IMPI, says there are enough proofs to support federal government's choice of high-tech to construct the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. In a statement signed by its chairman, Niya Kinshiju, the think tank group says its study of the situation showed that all the claims by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who sparked the controversy, were off the mark and targeted at discrediting the project. It adds that aside successful handling of the Bar Beach shoreline protection, High-Tech also has a history of constructing coastal highways with reinforced concrete outside of Nigeria. IMPI notes that after making discreet and open inquiries on the company's credentials and contract portfolios, it concluded that it may pass as the only Nigerian company able to construct the coastal road. The policy group also insists that a cost analysis of road projects similar to the Lagos-Calabar Highway in some parts of the world showed that the costing of the project was appropriate. Now, as part of efforts to empower women entrepreneurs with tech and digital skills for economic growth and development, the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, has flagged off the Southwest Hawaii Renewed Hope Initiative Women in Tech Training. Joy Ken Agbakweya reports that the First Lady was represented by the wife of the Lagos State Governor, Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu.
In addition to its potency in driving economic growth, technology enhances efficiency, facilitates innovation, and improves quality of life. This is why the First Lady of Nigeria, Oluremi Tinubu, through the Renewed Hope Initiative, is partnering the private sector to train and equip women with necessary skills and resources to compete favorably in the technology world.
Looking at all this now, I think it's really a good opportunity for me to learn more. I think this will give me more benefits to be able to do more in my field.
Addressing participants at the flag off of the training program, wife of Lagos State Governor Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, who represented the First Lady, charged beneficiaries to use skills acquired from the tech training program to make positive change.
Through this 3-day training, we are not only empowering the 40 participants drawn from across the states in Southwest Zone to succeed with the digital age, but also we want to use this training as an avenue to foster economic growth and prosperity for our nation as a whole.
You hold the key to Nigeria's future
dynamism, and prosperity. Your talents, skills, creativity are essential to ensure Nigeria's growth and competitiveness.
And at the end of the day, we're looking at you having very good both basic and intermediary knowledge on certain things that will make you better in your various businesses.
The tech training for women, which is in partnership with Huawei, is expected to run across all geopolitical zones of the country, with the first phase covering states within the southwest. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakboya, NTA News.
Away from Lagos State now, we head to Geneva, where civil society organizations on Community Advancement and Humanitarian Empowerment Initiative, CSCHEI, a non-governmental organization in Nigeria, has secured accreditation and signed an MOU with the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR, in Geneva, Switzerland. It is the first time UNITAR is signing a partnership agreement and MOU with civil society organizations coordinating platform in Nigeria. The report.
With the signing, it is expected that the working relationship would be of advantage to governments, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations working on sustainable development goals, climate change financing, and environment. Olivet Van Dam, Senior Manager representing United Nations Satellite Center, confirmed that the agreement and MOU cover their mandates. Ambassador Lawrence Bombs, while responding, assured the management of UNITAR that the partnership and agreement will be taken seriously, most especially when nations are prioritizing climate change and action advocacy. Director General, Civil Society Organizations on Community Advancement and Humanitarian Empowerment Initiative, CSCHEI, Kunle Yusuf, who presented the working documents officially to UNITAR and UNOSAT, mentioned that the organization is a coordinating platform that supervises, organizes, and promotes civil society, community, and faith-based organizations within the scope of social development, community enhancement, and humanitarianism. It further emphasized that the working documents of CSCHEI align completely with United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030. Director, Peace Division, UNITAR, says the MOU will open access to intervention grants on SDGs, climate projects, and programs financing. Yusuf hinted that this partnership and MOU agreement will definitely provide effective and efficient coordination between donor agencies, development partners, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, and faith-based organizations. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Joining us now is the Director General of the Civil Society Organizations on Community Advancement and Humanitarian Empowerment Initiative, Kunle Yusuf. Many thanks for joining us, Kunle.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, could you tell us about the opportunities embedded in this MOU you signed with UNITAR on key interventions in some sectors?
Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. The accreditation partnership and sign of MOU today is a great privilege for us in the development space. It's all about Global Agenda 2030 SDG. We have less than 6 years to the completion of 2030 agenda, and the UNITAR signed an MOU with SIGSEC to provide capacity building in this area, which also covers the SDG project and program financing, most especially that the whole global world is talking about climate change financing and climate change advocacy. The MOU and the partnership agreement covers these noble areas. And we see it, so we appreciate what UNITAR has done for us, because this is the first time that United Nations is actually signed such an MOU with a coordinating platform. And in Nigeria, back home, most of the challenges civil society organization, faith-based organization, and NGO has is the funding and intervention. this MOU and partnership has given access to that right now. It is obvious that federal government alone cannot fund all the project and program, but with this kind of agreement that we've signed with UNITA, which has covered so many United Nations agencies and donors, this will definitely open another access to funding of projects and program, most especially projects around the SDG and climate change. Most importantly, it's also important to emphasize that this agreement and MOU also covers executive capacity building on procurement fraud, not only procurement fraud alone, cyber crime security, and also social mobilization against extremism and radicalization. It is a plus and win-win for us in Nigeria, most especially some of us that are working on development space. For the first time, we now have a coordinating platform that has signed an agreement, an MOU with United Nations on capacity building, and UNITA is known for giving a capacity building for most of the United Nations agencies around the globe.
Do it all. Could you tell us, are there some caveats put in the MOU by UNITA in the implementation?
Yes, like I've said, the MOU covers the access to grant and intervention on SDG program and project and climate change financing. The MOU also covers the international collaboration on events and programs. The MOU also covers the high-level executive leadership capacity building on procurement fraud and cybercrime security. So everything that has to do with the 70-point agenda of the global SDG, the MOU that we signed today, has lays hands on that, and it's a good development for us from a development space, especially the civil society organizations and NGO in Nigeria, which is going to also add value to whatever government is doing. And this is an opportunity to also collaborate with a lot of federal government agencies in terms of implementation of the program on SDG and climate change financing.
Of course, thank you so much. Looking forward to the implementation and the benefits to Nigerians. Many thanks, Kunle Yusuf, for joining us on News Extra.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right, looking at other issues now, the federal government is planning a review of laws guiding the practice of agriculture in the country. This is in furtherance of its quest to reposition the sector for optimal contribution to Nigeria's gross domestic product. Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Sabi Aliyu Abdullahi, dropped the hint while inaugurating the 6th Council of the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
Livestock make important contribution to the gross domestic product of high and low income economies. In Nigeria, livestock constitute a major economic booster, gainfully and substantially engaging the populace. Consequently, the message of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security to new members of the Council of the Nigerian Institute of Animal Science is to bring their experiences and expertise to bear in surpassing existing records.
What better time do we have to review all laws in the agricultural sector? So, all agencies that have laws, including laws that do not exist that we think are necessary, we are going to bring it on board so that we'll take a look at it and do the needful.
The council says its composition will cause a rebirth in animal science management in Nigeria.
Exploration of alternative options for addressing challenges associated with rising cost of livestock feeds. Number 2, intensifying collaboration with relevant departments of the ministry. Effective deployment of the Institute's regulatory function. And then submission of a report to the ministry in terms of the progress on this.
Professor Abubakar informed the minister that Nigeria has won the bid to host the 2025 edition of All Africa Conference on Animal Agriculture in Abuja. Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
And still looking at agriculture, the Nigerian Armed Forces say personnel are all out to provide security for farmers as directed by the President. This is coming as the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, announced plans to establish defense farm for the armed forces. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
To serve and protect the nation is their primary responsibility. This includes security for farmers to produce and ensure food security of the nation.
If you don't have food, if you can't eat, insecurity will thrive.
And this is the reason behind the visit of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. He further informed the Minister of the intention of establishing defense farm under the non-kinetic approach of the armed forces.
Together. Now, if you form this farm, it's just going to be another enhanced farming capabilities for the armed forces, for the citizens. And you know, part of our non-kinetic effort is also to establish and enhance food security wherever we are.
When you look at the general overview of the insecurity around the country, there is tremendous efforts that has been put, and we could see the successes that the armed forces has achieved within a short period of time.
The ministry pledged to assist in developing the farms as well as partnership in ensuring security in farming communities. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And staying with agriculture, National Biosafety Management Agency says the on-the-field trial of telemaize, rumored in some quarters to be available to farmers and Nigerian market, is completely false and should be disregarded, with the variety still being rigorously evaluated through risk assessment and regulatory processes before its approval. The Director General of the agency, Yemisi Agnes Asagbara, reacted to some misconceptions concerning the variety of maize and other genetically modified crops before newsmen in Abuja. Charles Alpha was there.
Tela maize, an improved variety found to mitigate drought risk, stabilize yields, and encourage small-scale farmers, is considered the best available practices when finally assessed and approved. Its production is, however, severely affected by droughts and insect pests. While the benefits and risks associated with Tela maize are currently being assessed by the Nigerian Biosafety Management Agency and other scientists, the reports that Tela maize is now available to farmers in Nigerian market and causes cancer, the Director General, Yemisi Agnes Asagbara, says is misleading and reaffirms Nigeria's government stance on due diligence before releasing such genetically modified crops to the Nigerian agricultural landscape.
It's crucial to note that though it has been commercialized, Tela maize has not yet been launched for the farmers to grow, and it is not available in the market. And this demonstrates our commitment to thorough scrutiny and due diligence.
The DG says biosafety is not just a policy, but a commitment to safeguarding the nation's health, biodiversity, and environment. In regulating the activities of modern biotechnology and biosafety, she says this will ensure that any technological advancements, particularly in agriculture, are beneficial and pose no harm to Nigerians. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
Now time to get all the trade moves from our businessman, Benny Adams. Benny, what's the latest?
So much more in the world of business. Now, Nigeria and other developing countries who make up the G24 are making a case for increased financial support towards infrastructure, climate transition, and overall financial stability. Muplang Dakok reports that Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, who was represented in a meeting of the G24 by the Director General Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabueze speaks about the much-needed financial support and other issues.
We're looking to see investors coming, and Russian investments will be welcome practically everywhere. I mean, infrastructure is one major area, but even in oil and gas, Russia has become a significant player globally in oil and gas.
And more on oil and gas. Oil prices slipped for the third straight session on Wednesday as likely higher U.S. commercial inventories weighed, while the weaker economic data from China and dimmed prospects of interest rate cuts stoked worries about global demand. Brent futures for June were down 21 cents to $89.81 a barrel in early trade, while the U.S. crude futures for May were down 19 cents to $85.17 a barrel. Oil prices have softened so far this week as economic headwinds cap gains from geopolitical tensions, with markets eyeing how Israel might respond to Iran's weekend attack. And back to the markets in Nigeria. At the end of today's trading on the exchange, the bulls are back with a total of 322.6 million shares in 9,074 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.820 billion naira traded. Today's data shows 20% decline in volume, 31% decline in turnover, and 11% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 56.5 trillion naira. United Bank for Africa recorded the highest volume of 55 million traded shares, followed by Zenith Bank at 47 million and Access Holdings 45 million. Well, that is business news. News Extra continues.
Many thanks, Benny, for the update. Let me also tell you that the stage is now set for low-income earners to own houses within a short term of 12 months and more. This is as the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, in collaboration with the Housing Institutions Reform Task Team and Multi-Agency Project Delivery Task Teams, are finalizing a framework towards easy financing for affordable housing. Boside Abel reports that this is expected to upscale mass housing in Nigeria.
The removal of bottlenecks towards affordable housing is one of the objectives the present administration is poised to achieving. This is the reason these teams are strategizing towards reforming and improving the housing sector to achieving the set objectives and ensuring many Nigerians have roof over their heads.
It is equally important to share with the task team that the bank on its own has recognized the need for reforms and has taken the initiative to commence a journey of repositioning and recapitalization in conjunction with the Bureau of Public Enterprises. The bank is one of the enterprises slated for commercialization by the federal government. This focus was shifted to repositioning and recapitalization after a series of engagements between the Federal Mortgage and the VPE on the need for the bank to stay true to its mandate of affordable mortgage financing.
Our Land Use Act is part of the Constitution. So you need a lot of binding in order to extract it, first of all, from the Constitution, which we consider, even though it may be a long term, but we will start the work early.
One of the terms of reference we have is to develop a comprehensive strategy and roadmap for the construction of 50,000 new houses every year. Like the first chair said, for 2024 alone, my minister has said that we're going to develop 20,000 units of housing. That is what the mandate is.
The teams say the structure of delivery is based on quick win within 12 months, the short, medium and long term to achieve the president's mandate on housing in Nigeria. In Abuja, Bosede Abel, NTA News.
Many thanks, Bosede. More commercials need to breathe now. Stay with us. Glad to have you back. The federal government says youth empowerment through digital skills acquisition for sustainable job creation in Nigeria remains key for the development of the country. Minister of State for Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, said this during an interaction with a delegation from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Senior Executive Course 46 on Study Tour to the ministry. Olainka Ojo reports.
Youth unemployment and empowerment are the most pressing issues confronting world leaders in the 21st century, with negative implications for economic and social progress. Nigeria is no exception, and it is to address this issue, among other things, that this delegation from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, Senior Executive Course 46, are on a fact-finding mission. Their aim is to understand the issues and challenges the ministry faces in addressing issues around digital economy, youth empowerment, and sustainable job creation for Nigerian youths.
The youth are our competitive advantage. We have a large number of youth. They are very restless, they are very knowledgeable, and people tap on their experience, on their knowledge when they go outside. So why can't we internalize our strengths? We want to see how what they're doing can be improved upon in order to provide the youth with sustainable jobs for sustenance.
With funding, collaborations, engagements, monitoring and evaluation of success stories at the heart of youth development, Minister of State for Youth Development says one of the most promising solutions to youth unemployment is the intentional and systematic acquisition of digital skills. He explains that it is vital to all sectors of the economy and offers a competitive advantage for employment, self-reliance, and sustainable wealth creation in today's world.
It will be a crime for any youth not to have a skill. The youth of this country must have at least 2 skills that can and that will and that we think is going to transform to one local government, one product. And what are the products we are talking about? We are not talking about Dangote refinery, we are not talking about that and that, we are talking about cottage and agricultural industry.
The outcome of the visit will enable participants formulate policies for government, which will in turn ensure Nigeria achieve a digital economy that empowers youths, as well as provide sustainable jobs for them. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Let's head to Borno State now, as Governor Babagana Umar Zulum of Borno State is once again in the news with his signature tune that ignites jubilation among his people as he continues to expand the post-insurgency recovery initiatives that seek to rebound the vibrancy of his state. His latest port of call is the College of Nursing Sciences, Maiduguri, where he surprised the students with an extra act of generosity. Mohammed Goni captures the thrilling moment for News Extra. Let's see this.
An uproar of jubilation ignited by a shocking surprise customary to the benevolence of Governor Babagana Umar Zulum. Each of the 1,013 students of the college is to receive 100,000 naira special grant regardless of their state of origin, and 997 of them drawn from the 27 local government areas of the state are henceforth placed on 30,000 naira monthly allowance.
The government has allocated a total of 1,305,189,000 naira for scholarships, with a breakdown of 124,149,000 naira earmarked for tuition fees.
The governor, who expressed commitment to the future of the students, encouraged them to remain dedicated to their studies, promising employment opportunities upon graduation to serve in their communities. His government, he reveals, has further plans to establish more colleges of nursing in Goza and Mongono local government areas. Commissioner of Education Lan Abawa Kilbe and Provost of the college, Rukaya Shetima Mustafa, acknowledged the governor's support for the college and highlighted the commencement of national diploma and higher national diploma programs while appealing for the construction of an ICT center.
This reflects our unwavering commitment to invest in knowledge and training necessary for the advancement of our beloved state.
Your Excellency, sir, under your able leadership, the school achieved its first full accreditation and was upgraded to the full status of a college from the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria.
Representative of the Registrar Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, Director Accreditation, Ndagi Al-Hassan, praised Governor Zulum for his contributions to the education and health sectors in Borno, emphasizing the council's commitment to advancing the nursing profession, and granted the college additional 2 years to train more basic midwives to combat maternal mortality and morbidity in Borno State. The students also expressed their gratitude for the government's support and pledged to apply their studies practically in their communities after graduation. The governor then inaugurated a 2-story building with 8 classrooms and a multipurpose hall with a capacity of 200 people. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Did I hear you say great? Now, next stop is Yola, where former Senator Adamawa Central, Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed Binani, and her husband, Professor Ahmed Mohamed Modibo, have commiserated with traders at the Yola market over the fire incident. Nafisatu Abdul Hamid Dembos reports that the senator expressed concern over the huge loss.
Early morning fire disaster destroyed shops and valuables worth millions of naira at the Yola market. Senator Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed Binani and her husband, Professor Ahmed Mohamed Modibo, through a delegation, visited the market to commiserate with the government and the traders for such a huge loss. They expressed concern that with the current economic realities, traders are losing means of their livelihood, praying Allah to avert future occurrence. Leader of the delegation, Bale Jingi, who sympathized with the traders, urged them to take the incident as an act of Allah.
We are here on behalf of Senator Aishatu Ahmed Binani to show our concern over the unfortunate incident.
The victims thanked Senator Aishatu Dahiru Ahmed Binani and her husband for the show of concern and pray Allah to reward them abundantly. We thank Senator Binani for her continuous support. In Yola, Nafisatu Abdul Hamid Dembos, NTA News.
Let's talk security now, as the internet space is becoming a lucrative one for men in the underworld. But nothing must be spared in making it unattractive, and that is the challenge before the Nigerian police force. Realizing this fundamental responsibility, the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, visited the Nigeria Police Force National Cyber Center to evaluate the NPF-NCCC capacity in combating all forms of cyber-related crimes. Francis Fom reports.
This is the maiden visit of the National Security Advisor to the President, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center. As part of his job schedules, the NSA coordinates the activities of various security agencies and intelligence services, and this visit is geared towards evaluating the capacity of the center in addressing the ever-evolving surge in cyber threats. On arrival at the center, the NSA held a closed-door meeting with the operatives, and thereafter he was taken on a guided tour of facilities at the center. Impressed with the security assets at the center, the NSA enjoins the director to continue with training and retraining of officers and men for continuous professional development, and called for synergy among government agencies as well as law enforcement agencies to collaborate in safeguarding the national digital information infrastructure. In another development, the Police Recruitment Board says the decision on immediate medical screening for specialist applicants who scale through the ongoing practical tests in the Police Zonal Command Headquarters is sacrosanct and should be observed in all the centers currently hosting the practical tests across the country. The board warns that any qualified applicant who fails to turn up for the medical examination will not be cleared for final stage of the selection process. The board notes that immediately after the medical screening, the list of successful candidates will be released and the new recruits sent to the police colleges for training. Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Police Officers' Wives Association, POA, has provided empowerment sources to not fewer than 1,000 families of the deceased police personnel and the Bauchi Police Command. President of the association and wife of the Inspector General of Police, Elizabeth Egbetokun, said the gesture is aimed at ensuring food security in the state and the country at large. Zainab Agbola reports.
This is an official inauguration of the Agricultural Empowerment Program in Bauchi State by the POWA President Elizabeth Egbetokun. These empowerment tools are meant to ensure that the wives of the deceased personnel are self-sufficient by being part of the country's agricultural activities.
We come together not only to recognize your strength and resilience, but also to offer our support and assistance as you continue on your journey towards empowerment and self-sufficiency. Through various empowerment programs, educational initiatives, and vocational training opportunities.
This empowerment will not only support them but also uplift the entire community as it promotes self-sufficiency and economic growth.
Bags of rice are provided to the police families and wheelchairs are presented to the disabled persons among other items distributed under the program.
I thank God. I thank the wife of AIG.
POWA President has earlier paid a visit to the Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad, who was delighted over the initiative, which according to him will foster economic growth by reducing poverty among Nigerian women in Bauchi. Zainab Agbola, NTA News.
The governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Iduri, has urged the people of Igbomoturu communities in southern Niger local government area of the state to return home, as the Nigerian army has assured him of their safety. The governor gave the admonition when he led government delegation and military personnel to the communities. Ibinimi Zitimiola completes the story.
The Bayelsa State Governor Doye Iduri visited the Igbomotoro community in southern Niger local government area aftermath of the alleged military invasion and search of suspected killers of 17 military personnel in Okwama, Delta State on March 14. Addressing the leadership and members of the community at Igbomotoro community, the governor condemned the brutal killings of soldiers while urging the military to continue in their investigation to unveil the killers and their sponsors be brought to book, stressing that the era of militancy was over and it is time for intellectual engagement. The governor equally warned traditional rulers and other community leaders to reside in their domains, stressing that any monarch not found in his base stand the risk of losing their throne.
The truth is what the Ijaw people want. And those who are behind the killings in Okwama should be properly investigated and unveiled to the Nigerian public.
He further commended the Nigerian army for the show of professionalism in handling the incident at Igbomotoro and expressed gratitude and support of his administration. Ebinimi Zitimiola, NTA News.
Another break is due. Stay. Welcome back. Tackling social problems like human trafficking and forced labor and marriage require a holistic approach to make the nation safe and healthy for the younger generation to crumble the illegal multi-billion-dollar industry. This is the view of social advocates at the stakeholders' engagement for preventive action against human trafficking, forced labor and marriage. Elizabeth Omari reports on deliberations at the forum.
In its global estimate report, the ILO says human trafficking, forced marriage, and labor cut across religion and ethnicity. Providing protection and assistance to victims of these social problems informed the production of a life-based film titled My Story by MICAT to raise awareness on the inherent dangers and the need to address them.
The issues with Nigeria is not the legislations. The issues we have is the implementation. So maybe if we can begin to implement some of these laws more, right, we would see more results. Because if people are punished for violating or maybe perpetrating crimes around human trafficking, people will begin to know that they can pay for their crimes and begin to reduce.
Poverty, illiteracy, eroding values, lack of parental guidance, and get-rich-quick syndrome were also identified as factors promoting these social challenges. Tackling these issues, stakeholders say, will require communal engagements, protection of human rights, full domestication of the Child Rights Act, and economic empowerment for vulnerable families. Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Now looking at education, promotion of digital literacy in public schools in Nigeria. Educationists say is the reason the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, is leveraging existing resources and partnerships for maximum output. This was part of discussions when the Executive Secretary of the Universal Basic Education Commission received the South Korean ambassador to Nigeria at the Commission's Digital Resource Center. Zenret Digmon reports.
Teachers from across the country are exploring opportunities in digital technology to build their educational content development capacity, which is key to the success of the Smart School initiative. And here, development partners from South Korea, led by the ambassador, Kim Pan-kyu, are on hand to ensure the acquisition of the required digital skills, access to technology, and markets. The Executive Secretary of the Commission says even with the challenges being experienced, the program is already yielding results.
So far, 14 schools have taken off, and our hope is that the remaining will also, come on stream. A large number of experts are here with us, to impart additional knowledge to these teachers of how to run a modern smart school the kind that we have established here in Nigeria. So we are learning from what they are doing and then pushing very hard to see also how do we try to deploy the similar equipment that they are deploying to those particular schools to ensure that we can make progress.
And with this, Nigeria is well on its way to digital transformation that could change the country's trajectory. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmun, NTA News.
The second edition of the memorial lecture in honor of late engineer Joseph Oyeyani Makuju, former managing director of the erstwhile National Electric Power Authority, NEPA, is addressing associated challenges with infrastructure development in Nigeria and the need for adequate engineering capacity. Jonathan Amajali attended the event, which took place at the Federal University, Lokoja.
Joseph Oyeyani Makuju, former managing director of Dangote Cement and erstwhile head of the National Electric Power Authority, was a key figure in Nigeria's efforts to address its infrastructure shortcomings.
His visionary leadership and tireless dedication have left an indelible mark on the landscape of our nation's development.
This memorial lecture in his honor at the Federal University Lokoja aims to explore solutions to infrastructure development challenges and the importance of enhancing engineering capabilities.
The previous government did a lot by completing the Ajaokuta Itakpe Iwari rail line, Lagos Ibadan, Abuja to Kaduna. There's tremendous improvement and there are some many projects in the road sector. However, the emphasis is there should be a reform in the road sector. So they bring in the private sector. Government alone, I say, cannot do it effectively. So the private sector needs to come in.
Guest lecturer Dr. Felix Atume lamented the prevalence of foreign involvement in engineering projects across the country. Earlier, a memorial service was held at Christ the King Catholic Church in Ukene to honor Dr. Makuju's memory.
We will do our best to work towards his legacies and make sure that his memory remains vibrant.
Dr. Joseph Oyeyani Makuju passed away on 11th April 2022. Jonathan Omajali, NTA News.
Let's take a break. Stay. Now, friends, family and well-wishers converged to honor the first executive governor of Old Anambra State, late Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezefe, who passed on recently. A night of tribute held in Abuja. Associates described him as an icon, exceptional leader, and a patriot who has elevated lives before his demise. Omenka Marachuku reports that a series of activities are being organized in his honor.
May the soul of Chief Eze and the soul of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in perfect peace. Amen.
He didn't build his house. There were people that built it for him. So it's a lesson on diligence, integrity, and discipline, which we should all emulate him for.
A man of honor whom many say contributed greatly to the promotion of peace and unity in Nigeria, having served in various capacities, which include the first executive governor of Old Anambra State and as the political advisor to President Olusegun Obasanjo.
Call him water when no get enemy. And he's a man of peace, and he's a man who was passionate about unity.
Nigeria and Indigo in general has lost a big Iroko tree.
This sincere and very dogmatic. You know, he was a very consistent fellow.
And the force behind of Igbo throne in Ghana is Chukwuemeka Ezeife Okwalike Ndibo. From that time till now, he became my mentor.
The late Dr. Chukwuemeka Ezeife, known for his leadership style and positive contribution to democracy in Nigeria, left behind legacies to be emulated.
His intellect, his integrity, and his unwavering commitment, justice, and equity were the hallmarks of his illustrious career.
He's a true Igbo man. He was a voice for Ndibo, and he spoke even when the truth was so difficult to say so.
He's a man that, I mean, if we say he's irreplaceable, but it's rare to have such a character in the present Nigeria.
The death has been announced of Barrister Godfrey Ragwinam Nwachukwu of Okoye Machiaka family of Oranto village, Ukwu Dunuf Kofia local government area of Anambra State. Late Barrister Godi Nwachukwu was a public servant retired in 1984 from the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment before veering into legal practice. He was a practicing lawyer in Enugu and a member of the Royal Cabinet of Ezekwo as the Owili. He had a distinguished career in the public service and was married to Lady Bendeth Nwachukwu, née Ngige, of the Ngige dynasty in Alo, Idemili South local government area of Anambra State. The death of Madam Angelina Ogwamaka Onyali has also been announced. She was aged 92. There will be a vigil mass on Thursday, 18th of April 2024 at her compound in Ngodo village at Umbuaku, Oka, South Anambra State at 5 p.m. Requiem mass at St. Dominic's Catholic Church, Umbuaku, Oka, South Anambra State on Friday, 19th of April at 9 a.m. Interment will follow at her family home. Its Thanksgiving mass will hold on the 21st of April 2024. That concludes News Extra tonight. Rest assured, sports news will come in our subsequent bulletins. Many thanks for watching. Have a good night.